Good afternoon, ladies. I just want to start out by saying thank you to all of you that are here today and for the elders for allowing me this time to speak to you. You are an encouragement to me. We need ladies' help in personal evangelism. My husband always says we are the key to create an evangelistic atmosphere. If we don't do it, nobody else will. The Lord is depending on us to do our part. We're going to start out by talking about some 10 ingredients in personal evangelism. And the first step that we could take would be sending cards to those who are sick, someone that's dealing with cancer, someone who's had a recent surgery, or someone that just needs encouragement, or someone that has lost a family member. It is important to show compassion to those that we want to reach. In Jude, verse 22, it reads, "And of some have compassion, making a difference." So this is kind of where we started. At Willette was the prayer list. And when we came to Jacksonville, they liked compassion cards. So we took it from this verse here. And so that's why we use this verse a lot when we talk about the cards. In your books, your personal evangelism book, on page 100, it shows you a sample of the prayer list. And that's what we started when we were at Willette. And this is actually from another congregation and that they did. And what we normally do is when people give you the name, we always put their name, the relationship, who they are to one of the members, a description, because you want to know what kind of cards to send somebody. You don't want to send a wrong card. So that's very important. You need to make sure that whoever does a prayer list, they put exactly what is wrong with them, and then their address. We usually kept the names on this list for 4 weeks, unless it was somebody that was terminally ill. And of course, we would leave them on longer. Your congregation can be divided into 2 to 6 groups, and at Willette we had 6 groups. At Jacksonville we have 4, and everybody that's a member of the congregation, they need to be on that list. And so, and what we did is every Sunday evening we would get together in the library, and one of the men would be our team leader. And he would just kind of go over the names and what kind of cards we need to send. And so I like to have time to think about what I'm going to say to somebody. So I normally would go to the meetings, of course, but I would get my list and I would take my list home. And the elders knew that I was going to send, so they never, they knew that. And so, because I'm not one that can write something real fast. Some of you ladies are very talented and you can write something. Me, I can't do that. I want to think of something that, is befitting to that person. And so, either way that you do it, but make sure that you always send one to everybody on that list. I know when we started this at Willette, people would just pick and choose who they wanted to send a card to. Don't do that, because the more cards that these contacts will receive, the better chance of you will have to converting them. And then as Rob said, we also kind of fall into the trap of sending one card with 30 signatures. And we don't want to do that either. That's not as effective either. The most effective thing that we have found is if they do get several cards a day, that makes an impact in their lives. And so how we do this is we kind of divide it up Like we'll send so many on Monday, send so many on Tuesday, and so many on Wednesday. That way they're not getting cards all at one time in their mailbox, because that can be kind of overwhelming. Just kind of space it out, and you can even do it into Thursday as well, depending on how many cards there are. And that's been successful as well. So that's something I wanted to always let congregations know. When a person receives 2 to 3 cards a day in their mailbox, it will have a positive effect. Don't ever underestimate the power of a card. When we first moved to Jacksonville, we received a phone call from the local hospital giving us the name of Miss Bettina Bodine. She was looking for a church home because she had previously attended the church not too far from where we are right now, and she was moving. She just moved into Jacksonville, and she wanted to find a church. It took us a little bit of time to find her, because when the hospital gives you an address, they don't always give you all the address, because she was in an apartment. We knew the apartment she lived in, but we had no idea which one directly it was. So it took us a little bit of time to find her. And so when we did, we put her on the prayer list and started sending her get well wishes. Because she had requested it, we assumed she was a Christian, and knowing that she had attended the church before. The church, like I said, was sending her these get well wishes, and then when she started feeling better, we were able to go over to her home and kind of help her out, because she was on oxygen and she couldn't do a lot. So Hannah and I went probably about once a week there for a little bit, just going and checking on her and seeing what she needed. When I first met her, the first thing she wanted me to do was, she said, "Nicole, can you go get me some groceries?" Well, I didn't know her very well, and I said, "Well, sure, I'll go, get you some groceries." So she gave me her credit card with the PIN number, and I thought, wow, she has barely known me for a day, and she's already doing this. But she trusted me, and we started building a relationship with her, and we're so thankful that we did. And as I said, we'd go every week. We'd help her clean her house or do whatever. Well, it got so much on me and Hannah, we couldn't do it all by ourselves. So we started getting other women involved at church, because she would need, she didn't have a car, so she would need transportation, and so the ladies would pick her up and bring her, and then she would need people to take her grocery shopping and do other things for her. And the more we got to know her, our custom is usually we'll always have a Bible study with someone, just to kind of see where they're at, because we just assumed she was a Christian. But as we were studying with her, especially on that third lesson, it was very interesting, because when we got down to Mark 16:16, she had it memorized. And it really floored Rob what she said, but this is what she memorized it to say: "He who believes is saved and then baptized, and he who believes not shall be condemned." Well, at this point, Rob was looking very puzzled, like, where is this at in the scripture? And, he was looking at her Bible, and I was like, hitting him, like, stop, because it was getting embarrassing. And so finally, because she looked at him and she said, "Am I saying something wrong?" And she said it again. And finally, the third time, he says, "Can you just read that slowly, word for word?" And I'll never forget her expression when she read the Bible for the first time on Mark 16:16. Her eyes just got huge. And she was like, "Why did my pastor teach me this? This is not what's in the Bible." And that is really when we realized she was not a member of the church. We had known that she had attended the church for 7 years. Nobody had ever reached out to her. And so it was a blessing that when she moved to Jacksonville and got in contact with us, that we met her, we started sending her cards, and she was just so impressed with that and all the love that she was showed. So this can be the first step towards the Bible study, and I think maybe she might have lived 4 months, 5 months, and then she passed. We were in Bible class, and we got a text. One of the ladies from church went to go pick her up, and she was blue. And but we're just so thankful that we met her, and she was a blessing to us, and she was a joy to always be around. And so the card sending opened that door up for us, for her. The second step could be door knocking. Let's look at Revelation chapter 3 and verse 20. And it reads, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me." We know that this is one of the hardest ones to do, but it can be very effective if it is done right. We have learned through the years, when we go door knocking, we take the house to house with us that we have delivered to this route, and we'll pick a route, because sometimes congregations have bunches of routes, and you know you can't get to all the routes. Pick the route that's closest kind of to your congregation and hand deliver house to house. When we've hand delivered it kind of breaks the ice for people, because when we go to somebody's door, we're like, what do I say? And it's a little nerve-wracking. I know I used to be like, I don't like this. But the more I've done it, the better I've gotten with it. Like I said, normally when we hand these out, it's during a vacation Bible school, a gospel meeting, or a community outreach. We usually, when we're having something, that's when we'll hand deliver the house to house. House to House is now offering, they're doing an annual door knocking campaign. Last year was our first year to do one. We had many conversions from that in October. Some people do it that day. I think it's October 3rd this year. And then some people do it throughout the year. We never, we always, I know this is hard, and we're like, it's kind of nerve-wracking going to people's doors. But we still need to at least get out and try to meet those that are around us. While we were at Willette, we would go door knocking at least once a year and hand deliver house to house. We came across Gary Williamson and invited him to our services. He came to services, and we found out that he was an erring Christian. He had been away from the church for over 20 years. Rob and Nick Jones studied with him using Does It Matter? And then he was restored. We would have never found Gary if we did not knock his door. Door knocking reaches those who cannot be reached with any other method. The third step could be mailing out house to house, heart to heart. It is a publication that comes out, it used to come out every 3 months, but now you can get it delivered once a month. This is normally kind of what it looks like. This is a different edition, and I'll talk to you more about this one in a minute. But let's turn in our Bibles to Acts chapter 2, and verse 46. And Rob, I know, read a lot of these scriptures. And they continued daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart. Once a month, if you're enrolled in the house-to-house, heart-to-heart program, you will get an email about all the requests that people are wanting. In this, it has a section and it has a quiz, and they have a section here about, I want to know more about the Bible, and they can request a correspondence course, a Bible study, tracts, sometimes it's a poster, whatever it is, they will send the local congregation those names of somebody that has requested one of those things. We have learned since moving to Jacksonville that if we can deliver those requests, we see a lot better results. We used to just mail it out to them, but we were not seeing any results. Personal contact is always better. This is how we met Brenda Glaze. It took us a while to know where she lives as well. We kept going to this address thinking this was the address that she was living at, and come to find out, every week we were going back, could not ever find anybody home. Well, we live in a college town, and so finally we get a college girl that answered the door, and she said, "Can I see the address?" And I said, "Well, sure." And she looked at it and she said, "Oh, you're on Northwest. You need to go to the Southwest at part of the address." We're like, "Oh, well, we didn't know anything different." So we learned where she lived and found her, and hand-delivered those requests to her. She was so happy to see us. I've never seen somebody so happy. She could not believe that we would take the time to hand-deliver the things that she wanted. And the first thing that she said to us was, "Do y'all do home Bible studies?" And we said, "Well, yes." She said, "Well, I've just gotten married, and Daniel, my husband, knows nothing about the Bible. Can you teach him the Bible?" And so we were like, "Sure." And so we started talking to them, but at first they wanted to have some marriage counseling sessions, and we did. We did that study with them, and then she was so eager to learn more, and she wanted to learn more about the church. So we did Does It Matter with her and Daniel. And they both obeyed the gospel. She has been so zealous for the Lord, and she has invited many of her family and friends to the services. We believe that we would have never met Brenda if we had just mailed her those tracts and DVDs instead of hand-delivering them to her. The fourth ingredient could be getting involved in the New Movers Ministry. What is New Movers? It is a program that House to House does every month. They will send you the names of all the people that have recently moved into your area. And they can figure out how many moved into around your area. And it was an average of 14 a month move in. And so this, if the elders decide this is something that y'all would be wanting to do, they send you their address. And so that gives you an opportunity to take them something. And so that's what we have started doing at Jacksonville. When we find out that somebody's moved in the area, we make a basket. And I brought a basket today, and I'm going to kind of show you what we put in a new movers basket. And this is going to be y'all's. I'm going to leave it for you. But I go to the Dollar Tree and buy about 10 items, and then we get together with the ladies and assemble them. And some congregations said, you know, that they put a sign-up list and allow the ladies to go and buy the items. But whichever way works best, this is something that has been effective as well. But the things that I put in, I went to your local Dollar Tree, so I know that y'all can find this stuff, because I'm telling you, paper towels lately, I can't find paper towels anywhere. This is the second one in probably 2 or 3 months that I have found paper towels. So I always like to give them paper towels, trash bags. You know, these are things that are very useful when you move into a place. So that's what I was trying to do, trying to figure out something that they would think that would be useful. Toilet bowl brush, toilet bowl cleaner, dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent, some cleaning cloths, and then window cleaner. So these are some things that would be very useful for someone that has just moved in to the area. Now also, and here's pine salt. Also some things that would be very effective in this basket would be the church information, so that they know where it comes from. And one thing that we also do is we have a magnet that has all the emergency numbers that are local, and so that's good to have. We also try to find people that are members of this church or someone that you really trust, and put their cards, their business cards in here as well. Because when you move, you know you're going to have things you're going to have done. Your car, you're going to need a mechanic. You know, you're going to need a plumber. So these are some things of business cards that you can get contractors, electricians, or even lawn care services. That was one of the hardest things when we moved to Jacksonville, was like, we didn't know nobody. And when you can get names of recommendations of people that you trust, that's what we put in this basket, so for them as well. And as I said, once you buy all the items, I don't know, do y'all do a ladies' Bible class or anything? Well, anyway, y'all could get together at some point and put these baskets together so that when somebody does move in the area, they're ready to be picked up and taken to somebody that has just moved in. Let me introduce you to Kim Bullock. Kim had recently moved into the area and had received the New Movers publication. And that's what this is. When somebody moves into the area, if you're in the New Movers program, that's House to House automatically will send them this. And so she had received this, and then 2 weeks later, she gets a card welcoming her to the church. And on the back, of course, it would have your church information, the times of the services, and other things that y'all do. And so she had received this. Well, when she had received it, she immediately called the church office. And she had moved from Gadsden, which is not too far from where we live, to Jacksonville. And we found out the reason why she moved, because she made such a fast move, because where she was living, she kind of went sight unseen. And so it was not the best place for her. But anyway, so we found out the reason why she had moved was because she was grieving the loss of her father and wanted to move away. When she received the card, as I said, this card, that's when she called the office, and she had no way of getting there. She doesn't have a vehicle, and so she was going to need rides, and so for us to pick her up, and so that's what we started doing. When we got her address, we put her on the prayer list, put her name and address, and said moved into the area. And so people were starting to send her cards from the church. We had found out that she was an erring member, Christian, who wanted to make her life right again. One of the ladies from the congregation had taken her one of these baskets, and she was so thankful that the church had given that to her. These acts of kindness opened her heart so that we could find out more about her and do a Bible study, and that's what we did. We used Does It Matter? And as I said, we learned that she had fallen away because of her father's illness, and she wanted to come back to her first love. As anytime you're doing studies, it's a good opportunity because you will get to learn to know them. But a lot of times you'll also find out that there's other ways that we can help people. And so not only sending cards sometimes, but sometimes they just need a little benevolent help as well. So we listen to those things and help in any way that we can. She was restored and is now a faithful member of the church. The fifth ingredient could be making a visitor's bag for those who are visiting. Let's look at Romans 16:16. Romans 16:16. And it reads, "Salute one another with a holy kiss. The churches of Christ salute you." This is something that is fairly new as well that we've started doing at Jacksonville. And it helps us to get their contact information from our visitors. Because sometimes when you ask a visitor to fill out a card, a lot of times they don't fill it out, and we have no record of their attendance. So what we have learned is if we give somebody a bag, a visitor's bag, something like this to welcome them to the congregation, and in it would have their contact card. And so when you give the person the bag, you hand them that contact information and ask them, say, can you please fill this out so we can have a record of your attendance? And so they're more willing to fill that card out. This is another great way that ladies can get together and assemble these bags as well. And then I'm going to kind of show you what we put in our visitors' bags. You know, the men, they like their Werther's Original. So we put some candy, and then we put Lifesavers, and then we put a pad of paper and an ink pen. Some kind of chapstick, tissues, gum, lotion, and what we normally do, I could not find really the cups that we buy. It's usually, we try to find the ones that are stainless steel looking or something that, this would be kind of hard to do, but you could still do it. Does anybody in here have a Cricut? Or know what a Cricut is? Okay. and she probably knows what I'm going to say. You can put the church name on the cup and put that in your visitor's bag. And that's what we do at Jacksonville. We put Jacksonville Church of Christ on our cups. But this is just something that kind of helps get that information that we need from them, and it's another good icebreaker to get to know who your visitors are as well. We actually, because our congregation spanned out, and so it's sometimes hard for us to know who's a visitor and who's not, especially with us being new to the congregation. We have set people that know if there's a visitor, they just go and grab one of the bags and take it to that visitor and get that information from them. These bags are intended for those that you know live in the community, your local community. Because sometimes I know we're going to have visitors that are passing through or family members. And if you want to do something for them as well, do something for them too. I know some congregations bake bread. Whatever you feel like would help, do that too. But these bags are specifically for those that are in our local community. And then that's another thing, like I said, we put them on their prayer list so that we can start sending them cards. Because that's the main point. When we get their information, we want to put them on that prayer list, start thanking them for visiting the congregation, and to welcome them back at any opportunity that they may have. When we met Ellen, we immediately gave her one of these bags to welcome her. Perry at first was not able to attend with her at first because he deals with Parkinson's, and so, but we knew, and we told her as soon as he comes, because it's a custom, as Rob has said, if we have visitors, we automatically will take them out to eat to get to know them. And we had explained that to her. She said, you know, when Perry comes, we would love to take you out to eat for lunch or supper, and because that opens the door. If they got that invitation, a lot of times they're going to come back. They will come back. And so when Perry was able to come, we immediately asked them to come out to eat with us, and they did. And that's when the relationship started to form. And as we were talking with them, we learned something. We learned that they liked college football. Well, this was a Sunday, and the following Monday was going to be the big college football game, and the national championship game. And so we were talking, and when we bought our house, it has a media room, and so we were telling Perry about it, and he got so excited. And so we thought, well, hey, here's our door of opportunity that we will invite them over and to get to know them a little bit better and watch the football game together. And so that's what we did. We had them over, we just had appetizers and got to watch the game. After, of course, we were watching the game for a while, and it kind of got carried away that we could start talking to them, because we don't want to start talking when we're watching a game, but when it was getting so far out of hand, we thought, well, this would be a good time to just kind of get to know them. Well, we learned that Ellen, she was raised in the Baptist church. Perry was raised in the Methodist church. And so they told us, they said, we've gone to both denominations and we're tired. They said, we're tired of the fluff and puff. And I thought, wow, I've never heard somebody say that before. And they said, and that's what she said. She said, we're tired of it. We want to know the Bible. And that's what she said she enjoyed about Jacksonville, because she said, y'all teach the Bible. But one thing, the most interesting thing that she had said was when they moved to Jacksonville in 1999, they received House to House. It took them 21 years to visit the church, and we're so glad they did. If they had not received the publication, they may not have known anything about the church. After building a friendship with them and showing that we cared about them, they were willing to study the Bible with us. We baptized them earlier this year, right before quarantine. Even during this time, they were always faithful to watch the services when we couldn't be at services. It was hard on them being new Christians and not being able to worship together, but we always made sure that we checked on them to make sure that they were okay. The visitor's bag helped us know who is visiting and who is a potential prospect for a Bible study. And one more thing I'm going to say about them. Their son came to our VBS. We did our VBS this year. Their son came to VBS, and we got to know him and his wife, and they were also baptized just recently. So you never know what good we're doing. So we have to branch out and do a lot of different things because one thing is not always going to be as effective, and we've got to learn different ways of being effective in our local communities. The sixth ingredient could be when you see a visitor come in, always invite them out to eat, or at least have a family who is willing to cook and invite them over for a meal. They may not they're not usually going to be able to do it the first time they come to services because they usually have some kind of plans. But you tell them, make sure that you tell them when they come visit again, that offer still stands when they visit. And so when you tell them that, chances are they're going to come back. And so we've had much success from that. In Luke 5:30-31, it reads, "But their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying, Why do you eat and drink with publicans and sinners? And Jesus answering said unto them, They that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick." Even Jesus ate with sinners and publicans, and we need to too. This impact what this impact has on visitors is usually one that they will never forget. They're not used to someone opening that invitation up to them. And when they visit different congregations and different churches, a lot of times when we ask them, they're like, "You would do that for me?" That's what they say to us. And we say, "Well, sure." And so you can just tell that they're just so excited that you care enough to do this for them. What I would suggest is for you ladies to maybe meet and come up with a plan for those who would be willing to take out the visitors to eat, or if you want to have them in your home. If you have them in your home, my suggestion would be get 2 or 3 ladies to work together, because it's hard on one person to sometimes to prepare all the food and get your house ready. That's hard on one family. So get as many people as you can involved in this. When we do this, that we have the more opportunity to convert more souls. When we met Larry, Cora, and Dante Stamps, we immediately invited them out to eat when they visited the congregation. We did this so that we could get to know them. Little did we know that they were already members of the church looking for a home congregation. When we first meet people, we do not always know if they are Christians unless they openly tell you. We don't want to just pry into that information. You know, we want to build that relationship first. So that's the reason that we always do this to whoever's visiting, especially in our local community. We always want to make our visitors feel comfortable so that they will be more willing to come back to services. If you extend to them some form of hospitality, they are more willing to visit again. We have used this approach many times and have had many conversions doing so. Many of our converts have said if we did not do this, they may not be Christians today. When we open our homes or take visitors out to eat, it can lead to a potential Bible study. The seventh ingredient could be doing some kind of community outreach to let the community know you care and where you are located. In Acts 2, verse 47, it says, praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. So we should try to develop favor in our community. At Jacksonville, we do 3 meals a year. We do a shrimp broil, the Big Pig Day. I do not like this day, yuck. And chicken hot dog days of summer. This may not work for you, but this is something that has been successful at Jacksonville, and this is what we do every year. We've had several congregations tell us they do things like they feed the first responders, they'll hand out back to school backpacks, or do some kind of clothing giveaway. When we're preparing for our meals, we have somebody that makes up our postcards, and it tells them what we're doing, the time, the date, so that when the members of the church, they can get those and take them to their family and friends who are not members of the church. This is a way how we can advertise to our community that we're going to have this meal. When we first moved into the area, people would always asking, why did y'all move to Jacksonville? You know, what do you do? And he said, well, I work for House in the Jacksonville congregation. And every time that we said the Jacksonville Church of Christ, it was amazing the response that we were getting from the community. Right before we moved, they had just had a tornado that came through, and that the people that we were talking to, they were so impressed. They said, you know, that was where we went when we needed help. We would go to the church. We would not go to our home congregations. We knew the Church of Christ would help us. And I thought, wow, ladies, that's impactful. You know, that's what we need our communities to know, that we're there to help when help is needed. And so we were very thankful when we came to Jacksonville, because we knew that they had a good rapport with the community. We should find a way to let our communities know that we are there to help when help is needed. We must strive to have a good reputation for the non-Christian. Our community needs to know we care about them. We recently have had a whole family obey the gospel from coming to one of our meals. One thing that we've learned, when we see a visitor, when we do these meals, we learned if we pick a family or somebody we know that's visiting, we go and we target them and we'll sit with them to get to know them. All of us can't get to know everybody. That's just impossible. So what we started doing is having families go to certain people they know that's a visitor and start building that relationship with them and get to know them so that we can get their information and we can start mailing them those cards and inviting them to services. The main thing is, we as congregations, we need to find ways that we can reach out to our communities, because these things that I have mentioned may not be best for your local community. We went to New Hampshire not long ago, and they said, well, we tried to reach out to our community. We cooked hot dogs and hamburgers, I think it was, and they invited, I think it was for the first responders, in the community, and they had 200, because they thought, well, that would be enough. They were discouraged, ladies, because they only had one person, and it was the mayor that came and showed up. But I told them, never give up. Keep trying different avenues, because one thing may work for one congregation, and it may not work for another. Try to find those things that will be successful for your local area. Be patient, and things will work out for the best. The main thing is that we're looking for that soul who has an honest and humble heart. The eighth ingredient could be doing some kind of benevolent work. In Acts 4, 32 through 35, it reads, And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common, and with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of things that were sold, and laid them down at the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. We need to come up with ways to help our communities, whether it's a food pantry, clothing giveaway, or anything that we can come up with that will help our communities out. I know at Willette, when we were there, we had a benevolent building, and every Tuesday the community would come out and get clothing. And so that was our outreach to the community. The church, I know, has been burned for so long, giving money to pay light bills, giving food or clothing, and giving gas money, or even paying a bill. You will always find someone that will try to take advantage of us. One thing that we have started to do, if they continue to ask for help, and we give it to them, what we do, we'll sit down with them and help them make a budget to get their money so that they're not overspending or whatever. We'll sit down with them and help them with that. If they continuously ask, we will provide them a financial peace class by Dave Ramsey and go through that with them. But if they just won't do that, and a lot of times they don't want to do that, they just keep wanting a handout. Well, we've learned enough is enough. Willette was a very, very poor community, and so we just couldn't give unless we were seeing they were truly trying to help themselves as well. Anytime that someone asks for help, we should see it as an evangelistic opportunity. We should always be inviting them to services. We will always help them, but we will tell them they need to help themselves by feeding their soul spiritually. This is Geneva Evans, who is Brenda Glaze's niece. As soon as Brenda was baptized, she immediately invited her and her 3 girls to services. When she and the girls came, Sherry Harris began studying with her. It wasn't long after we met her that they lost everything in a house fire. The church immediately rallied around her, and the girls gave them the things that they needed. Several members, of course, gave them money and even took them shopping to get the things that they needed. And a lot of us donated clothes for the girls and for Geneva. So whatever we could do, we were going to help her. And so the one thing she couldn't believe that she was receiving all this help from the church. She continued the studies and was baptized. At Christmas, because we knew she was not going to be able to provide for those girls, we asked the girls to make us up a list of the things that they would like for Christmas. And so they did. They made up this list, and we divided the list among the ladies of the congregation, and we were able to buy them some Christmas presents. The smiles on their faces were priceless when they saw all their gifts. We pray that these 3 girls will grow up always remembering what the church had done for them, and that one day they will all be faithful Christians. When we help someone with benevolent help, we should always pray that God will open a door so that we can study with them in the future. Benevolence will not bring lost souls to Christ unless we care enough to try to study with them. It should always be done to try to win souls. This is the purpose of benevolence. The 9th ingredient could be for us to be a teacher or a silent partner. In 2 Timothy 2:2, it reads, "And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also." We're not all going to feel comfortable in teaching, but we can always be a silent partner to help with the study. The teacher needs to learn a method and become very familiar with it. Make sure that you practice with someone first so that you can become comfortable in using it. At first, when I started learning how to use Back to the Bible, I was always Rob's silent partner. It was not until our first mission trip to Jamaica that I conducted my first Bible study. I can remember how nervous I was doing it, but I knew that it was time for me to be a teacher. The more studies I did, the more comfortable I became in doing it. We definitely need ladies to step up and become teachers and silent partners when teaching other women the gospel. I trained Hannah how to do in Jamaica as well. She was my silent partner and was able to watch me do one so that she could do one as well. I told her that I wanted her to be able to teach someone the gospel too. Even though I knew she had seen her daddy and I do one, I wanted her to be able to do one as well. The preacher's wife in Sandy Bay, Jamaica, came up to Hannah one day and asked her if she would study with one of the teenage girls, and she did. I was her silent partner, so I could help her in case she needed it. She taught this young girl the gospel, and she obeyed. I was so proud of her, and that gave her the confidence of knowing she can do it. The girl was baptized and is still a faithful member in Jamaica. And it's extremely hard in Jamaica, especially for the young ladies, because they get a certain age and mama throws them out of the house and then they go and prostitute themselves. So it's very hard being a young girl in Jamaica, and we're so thankful that the church there in Sandy Bay is strong enough to keep those young girls faithful, and because it's a very hard life living there. This is a great opportunity for mothers and daughters to work together in soul winning. There is no greater joy to be able to do this together. My suggestion would be find out which ladies would want to be the teacher and who would want to be a silent partner. You never know when you may be asked to conduct one, and you will want to be prepared when the time comes. We need ladies to be willing to teach a Bible study or one who will be a silent partner. Which one will you be? The 10th ingredient could be someone who is willing to be a keeper. We need ladies to help with this work as well, whether it be a husband and wife team or two individuals who would be willing to help keep the saved saved. We need ladies to help once a week do Bible studies with the new converts. We recommend using Growing in Christ by Brother Bobby Bates because it kind of flows in with back to the Bible. And I have done this with many ladies, and they enjoy that study. And so what we did at Willette, and we do at Jacksonville, is when they become Christians, they're automatically put into a new converts class. And then we find those that will be the keepers, and what they will do is during the week they'll get together with that new convert and do. A lot of times they do the beginning of our confidence by David Farr. They like this book because it's a 20 minutes, and they get that one-on-one attention with you. And it covers moral and doctrinal issues. This gives them, when they have this opportunity, it gives them that opportunity to open up in a more private setting and discuss personal issues. Most new converts are not going to ask questions in a large adult class. We never want to give up on the new convert that we have worked so hard to convert. We know that the devil will work hard, very hard, to get them back. In Mark 1, 9 through 13, it reads, "And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized of John in Jordan. And straightway, coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens open, and the Spirit like a dove descending upon him. And there came a voice from heaven, saying, Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And immediately the Spirit driveth him into the wilderness, and was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of Satan, and was with the wild beasts, and the angels ministered unto him." If Jesus was tempted after he was baptized, so will the new converts. We want them to become well-grounded so that they will remain faithful. At Jacksonville, we have those that are designated to be the keepers. Eric Shear and Sarah Parfait normally help in this work. We encourage them, as I said, we'll encourage them to either go to their home or to the church building, whichever way they feel the most comfortable, once a week and do the study. This helps them to create a special bond. Sometimes after the study, they'll also take them out to eat. This also helps build a close relationship, friendship with the new converts. When somebody's recently converted and you may only know your teachers, this gives them an opportunity to know more people as well. And so we want, the more people we can get involved in this, the more comfortable they're going to feel in coming to worship. We have had much success with the converts remaining faithful when we have people assigned to be keepers. In summary, there are 10 ingredients to bring souls to Christ. We need to begin by sending cards to those in your community. Knock doors, mail out house to house, heart to heart. Make and deliver the new movers baskets, hand out visitors bags, take the visitors out to eat or have them in your home, community outreaches, help others with benevolence, teach a study, or being the silent partner, or lastly, keep the saved saved. So we've got a big responsibility before us, don't we, ladies? We sure do. I hope and pray that these things will help you in your personal evangelism. And this is my information. If you ever need to get in contact with me, I would love to help in any way. I love hearing from you ladies. And like I said, if there's any time that you just need to have a question, please feel free to contact myself or Rob, and we will try to help you in any way we can. I appreciate so much your kind attention. Thank you.